All right, good morning, everyone. We are live right now. Sorry for the delay. Frank is having issues, tech issues right now. So he's trying to join us, but for some reason, not sure. He says he hits the link and his picture pops up, but he can't join. So we do have Lindsay here on time as usual. So thanks for joining us, Lindsay. So how's everything going?
Good morning, Mark. I was telling you, I wish I was still on vacation,
All
but
right, good morning, everyone. We are live
I'm
right now. Sorry for the
working
delay.
regularly now.
Yeah, I saw some pictures, so we can dig into that after. But I also just wanna I did put Frank's YouTube channel in the chat, Lindsay's channel, and also her episode on Bigger Pockets Rookie. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And let's see. And so yeah, so this was hopefully Frank can get on because he kind of said this topic really kind of resonates him and Cynthia right now and whatnot. But it's kind of, everybody's talking about the housing crash and prices, the doom out there, but a lot of people aren't doing things probably to prepare themselves. I mean, maybe our community is, right? We see a lot of people pivoting, maneuvering, tightening up on their finances to make the next purchase, but a lot of people are just going about their business and still purchasing, buying things. We talked about it on other episodes like consumerism. But what's your thought kind of on the topic or title of even like looking poor or or acting poor is important for 2025?
I feel like I've been acting poor my whole life, so it like fits my personality, I guess. I think I put a hot take last time on the chat that you guys had on a live. I don't like Costco kind of
That
thing.
that's right. That was very interesting. Maybe you can quickly dig into that. We were talking about consumerism and marketing, and you were talking about Costco actually.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been very frugal since I can remember any kind of memory whatsoever, and being financially savvy uh, took a bigger role in my life growing up. So being able to save money or ways to spend just doing anything that I do love. Like I feel like all of the things that I do take a priority, and different things have different priorities. So for Costco particularly, I just think that when you go to Costco, I mean, I had a membership in the past, thinking the same as you are going for the savings, but every single time you go to Costco, it's a $200 to $300 bill when all you went for needed was a dishwasher, like dishwasher soap or detergent. Um, that's basically what I think. I mean, Costco, it's a huge company and it spends thousands of dollars in marketing. I would say probably millions of dollars. And $1 hot dog that keeps making you go. Really, it's a hook for for more advertising and more marketing, and for you to spend more money.
There he is. We said the old guy was having problems getting on, so Frank has finally joined us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I had a lot of problems. Cynthia finally suggested that I try my phone, and that worked. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
why my laptop wasn't working, but we're
No,
here.
no. Well, as long as you're here, this is good to have you on. Say good morning to everyone. We got Flavio here. I don't know. Buenos dias, Lynn, and for yeah. So Frank, Flavio's here. We got Kenny. Buzz Tunes back from his trip in Japan, so he's here supporting. I saw Val, Dylan, Jen's here. Jen is always promoting Lindsay, so that's why, like I said, Lindsay's episode of on Bigger Pockets Rookie is in the chat, so go check that out. And quickly, hey, Rad's here. Rad's one of the newer members in school. He has a property in Pittsburgh. I keep talking. He lives in Florida, I believe, and he purchased one in Pittsburgh. But before we move on and kind of dig into the topic a little bit more, I just want to say, everyone, if you haven't purchased your ORAT T-shirt, go check it out. And yeah, the PayPal link is there, and that is a good resemblance of Frank. I like his AI skills.
It got pretty close.
Yeah. All right, so Lindsay kind of touched on. I don't know if you saw that when we were talking about how maybe people aren't getting their finances in order. The economy is kind of uncertain right now. People are worried, but a lot of people are still just spending money, right? Like just going about buying things. But the topic kind of is looking poor in 2025. is maybe like a wealth strategy to get ahead. And Lindsay also was talking about her feelings on Costco. I don't know if you're paying attention to that live, but she commented that in the chat. But you also gave me some feedback, like some of the videos I sent you about this topic kind of was how you and Cynthia are, right? So maybe you can dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the topic is a great one, especially for what we're going through today, just in general. But I've always been surprised at how many people, have to have that first iPhone or that first Tesla or that whatever that monster truck they have is. And I even see them driving around in our area where, I mean, there are people with money here, obviously, but not places like you would think of, like LA or, bigger cities where there's tons of money. But we've always just been, I don't know, over the last few years since we've gotten into this community, I've talked about how our financial literacy has improved, several times over. But before that, we were basically just living week to week. And I have never been concerned about how people see me or how wealthy they see me. As far as money goes, we're not super wealthy, but we've always had everything that we've needed, and we've been able to live comfortably. So I don't know where that people get that mentality from, like, having to have that first iPhone or whatever it is. There's just people that just can't resist, and it's kind of sad because even just thinking about that, since we were able to get started investing in real estate again, I just really feel sad for those people because it seems like they're just grinding and grinding for nothing.
All good points. Yeah, I think, not teasing you again for being older, but you probably have a little more experience on this and gone through a lot of different phases in your financial journey. Like I know you touched on it before, like bankruptcy and losing everything and whatnot. So you've gone through different phases. Like for you, Lynn, but you also said too, you feel like you've always been living poor, right? So I think sometimes that's the struggle too, is both of you are probably doing a lot better than a lot of other people out there, but it just doesn't feel like it in some sense. Is that kind of accurate for you folks? Maybe Lynn, can you touch on that?
Yeah, it feels different for me because I think it comes from my mom. My mom is such a good saver. Like my parents were unemployed for about 2 years while we were living in Peru, and somehow my mom, with her savings, was able to carry through like the whole family. And so that's a big like I guess building factor for myself. So I always thought like saving was something that you need to do in case of any kind of problem. So I, keep a budget every month. I have a 6 month emergency fund for my own bills. So I could go 6 months without working technically, and I could still live the same life. I also plan for like unexpected things that happen, like sinking funds for, let's say, somebody needs money from my family, which is, happened in the past, or sinking fund for I pay my registration cards yearly, right? Like a sinking fund for that. I have a sinking fund for fun. Like everything related about money has to be planned and prepared. It's not like, oh, I saw something on Amazon and I'm gonna buy a new camera at $200 and I'm just gonna put in a credit card and I'm gonna have it. Worry about it next month. That's not something that I ever exercised in my life. I always thought, yeah, I use credit cards for points, but I always have a plan before I purchase something. And that's only translated in real estate, of course.
Do you approach purchases like that also, Frank? Like, and we also want to say good morning to Cynthia, my best friend's here. She's tuning in from Frank's channel, possibly, or maybe Lindsay's, but she's coming, and Spencer's coming in from someone else's channel. I believe Spencer is in Australia. So good morning. We got Joel here, lending for entrepreneurs. So go check out his YouTube channel. Also, he's doing a lot of cool stuff. He might be going live later today, I think. I'm not sure. I have to check on that. And we got Renee here from School Community, but he's tuning in from the X Twitter side. So Renee, if you're still there, good morning. Go check out he has some amazing stuff. He's a DIY landlord out in Florida, and he has some amazing systems in place. And he also has his own little school community. So go check that out. But Frank, for you, do you kind of budget or plan your maybe expenses or trips or purchases the way Lindsay sounds like she's doing?
Yeah, I think I was just thinking that yesterday, just about how technology has changed things so much. Even just in the past 20 years, we've advanced so far. But growing up when I did, like Lindsay said, my mom was the saver. My dad was super hardworking, but he really couldn't save any money. He was really just like, he just wanted everybody to have a good time, when we got together, or he would go camping or just drag everybody with him. And so he never really had any savings or anything like that. I think I used to be, I don't know, sometimes you get a little bit under the weather emotionally or something. And for me, it was like I would go buy a new tool or something just to lift my spirits, but that was only temporary, right? And it took me a while to realize that was just temporary, and maybe it was covering some other issue that I had. But my mom being a saver, when she passed away, when we were going through her things, we found she used to put money in envelopes for certain things, and when she died, we were going through her things, and we found like $13,000 just in these envelopes all over her house. And they had notes for everything, like this was going to be for maybe saving repairs for one of her properties, or when she would need to buy a new car or something, she always paid cash for her cars. And she always, I don't know how she did it, she always got really good deals. But we were, looking back, we weren't very wealthy at all, but it didn't feel like we were poor. We kind of laughed because we used to get excited. She was a waitress, and she'd come home with her tips, and she'd let us help her count her tips and things. So that was kind of what things that like we looked forward to when we were little.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this post out there just to get more people to tune in. But yeah, I think that for me, that's always been kind of the struggle too, is just budgeting and planning for these bigger expenses. Like you're saying, do I need the new iPhone or do I want it? And that's what someone kind of commented, I believe. Where did it go? Oh, Cynthia actually said that the difference is between needs and wants, right? I think that's the biggest thing that we start understanding on this journey, right? You start figuring out, maybe I don't need this. I don't need to upgrade my vehicle, or I don't need that new watch or whatnot. So that's been very eye-opening for me. And even like, I think, even like going to the ORAD event, right? Everyone's trying to figure out, okay, what hotel is offering the best rates, and how am I going, how long am I going to stay, and what's the best deal? And you really start looking at things a lot differently. And I think it's because all of us are trying to make that next purchase also, right? So we're trying to figure out how to put money aside to make the next deal work and whatnot. So do you think that's kind of, where we're at in society a little bit, where those that aren't investing, that's why they're just enjoying the moment and they're not really worried about tomorrow in a sense. And that's kind of why we're getting in this deeper and deeper, maybe financial illiteracy for a lot of people.
I feel like we're being manipulated all the time. Not like in a negative sense, but marketing is everywhere, like social media, TV, like your neighbor. Um, we attribute so much value to things. Like it means status. It means like you're moving forward. It means like if you have a nice car, it means that you're succeeding. And so a car is just a car. A car takes you from point A to point B. It doesn't mean that you're succeeding. it means that you bought a car. Like, so continuously around you, like I guess like growing up, you're just put into this like world of, and you're supposed to make your own identity. And as an adult, like you, that changes and that cements your identity. But not to take it back to Costco, but like I don't like to put myself in places that are being manipulated or are being marketed to, because it works. We know it works. Marketing works. Commercials works. TV ad works. The McDonald's sign on the side of the road when you're going across the country or on any road trip, that works. Like it's science. It's fact. So I choose to like stay away from, I guess, that kind of environment.
Yeah, see, Bucky's works. Bucky's has great marketing, and when I went in there, I spent like $200 on all kind of knickknacks and
$200.
stuff. Yeah, well, I had a lot of food. I got like coffee mugs, but yeah, it's a cool place. But Frank, Jen says that's such a sweet story. My grandma kept her money in envelopes also. She was very organized. Jen also says, kind of to your point, like some people are suckers for infomercials. Yeah. Frank, so maybe how can looking wealthy actually slow down your path to financial freedom, you think?
I think mostly in the most obvious ways, like you've probably already talked about, just with the new car and the newest phone, or a lot of those larger material things. We, like in our family, Cynthia and I, we don't have any cars that are newer than 2000, right? My work vans are both 2000s. Our family car that we drive is a 99 Suburban. We like to keep them in really nice shape, and they don't have a ton of miles on them, but I really couldn't see buying a new car, especially today on financing. If there was some way we could pay cash for something, we'd probably do that. You mentioned earlier about Vegas, and Lindsay and I were kind of joking about that a few weeks ago, where I told her, I think I'm lucky because there's no place in the world I need to go see in person. She loves to travel, but I'm happy just being home. Cynthia and I just spending time here together. If we do go out, like, I don't know, to a different restaurant to go try it out, or sometimes we'll go and just talk about our portfolio and how it's working or not working. Sometimes things like that. We just have really good conversations. So I think I'm lucky there because I don't feel like I'm missing out on world travel or anything like that. But when we did go to Vegas, since we don't really travel too much, I splurged on that trip, that first trip. I wanted to stay someplace nice. We were Ubering everywhere. We ate at some really nice places. So for us, that was really our, like, one vacation a year. So I didn't mind spending the money. The second time we were planning for it, we were trying to be a bit more frugal. I think a couple people in the group, Michelle and Mikey, they stretched their dollar. And so we were taking some hints from them and learning some stuff on how they researched their rooms and where they stayed and things like that. So I think that, I guess this time going forward, because you do think about the next purchase, right? So the first time our room was like $2,500. The second time it was going to be about 12. And it gets all the way down to, weird thoughts I have even about my day-to-day life. If, we talked about making lunches to go to work before, and how nowadays it can save you 15 to 20 bucks for lunch. And if I forget my lunch and I need to go out and buy it, I'll think that over. And I'm like, okay, if I just don't eat lunch, then that's 20 bucks more that I can put in the savings account for the next property. So your mindset does shift. And depending how important your why is, right? I think we all have pretty strong whys, and it keeps us on track.
I think for me, I notice a lot of times too now, it's like I realize I don't need these things, right? I think before you're kind of I'm going to buy it because I use it for this, or I use it for that. And then after a while, after you really start breaking down how much time it may cost you to buy this certain thing, then you're just like, I actually don't need it, or I can get by without it. I don't know if how that's for you, like tools and whatnot, Frank. I don't know how often you have to buy tools or new equipment, but I'm sure maybe earlier in your journey, like, oh yeah, this will pay for itself after a while. But now you're kind of, I would assume you're getting by with certain tools that maybe you haven't upgraded for a while. But Jen also said, I know people that feel life is too short, so they want to enjoy the nice things in life. So they spend a lot. Wait, so they spend a lot. What are your comments about that? I think that's okay. So I know people that feel life is too short, so they want to enjoy the nice things in life, so they spend a lot. So Lynn, what is your thoughts on that?
Life is short, and I don't know if I have the being a nurse, being able to like being around people that were sick or dying a lot. They always reminiscent about their life, and then you're a nurse, you're with them, you're always like listening, you're always taking on their wisdom, or I hope you are, right? Like being nice to these people that are in the worst times in their lives. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be dying. It could be like you broke your arm, and now you're like yearning for being normal again, or being able to sleep without pain, or being able to spend time with your children, spend time with your family, like just being more present in the moment. It's not ever, oh, I wish I'd bought that really nice Chanel bag. It's never like, I wish that I went on that like trip more. It's more like family time. It's more like independence. I wish I read more. I wish I like walked more. I wish I really used my arm. Even when you're sick, like you get the flu, you're like, oh, I always take for granted like the way that I breathe. If I can, you have the flu for 7 days now. You like, I wish I take it for granted. We don't acknowledge every day, which is like self awareness that we are healthy, we're able bodied, we don't have a lot of challenges that other people do have. And then just taking that into consideration, being mindful, being aware of like how you are capable right now. I think all those, I guess, shiny things that flash into just watches, cars, yachts, whatever, are like they take a backseat when you think about life like that.
Frank, before maybe you touch on that, Flavio is trying to get you to move. I think he said, I think California is beautiful, but if you move to Washington, you can save a little money.
Yeah, since we met Flavio in the group, I've been
He wants the right shirt, though. He said you sent him the wrong one.
I'm sure it looks great. I have crazy thoughts. Some things that would be fun for me if we do get the opportunity would be like to go to Washington, meet Flavio. I would get a kick out of helping him on one of his projects. Just to work together for a while. That would be pretty cool. And when I think about how our life might be different when we're able to retire, as far as travel goes, I would get a kick out of traveling around and meeting all you guys in person. Mark, we've met, but like Big Val, I'm super thrilled if I could ever meet him in person. Lindsay, we just missed her when she was here in our neck of the woods, but and I'm sure if people get to go to Vegas next year, we'll get to meet a lot of them there. But you were talking about tools. Jim, the grumpy contractor, we talked about tools last week, and there's a new tool he uses for plumbing, and he's always like, you got to get this, man. It's great. It'll save you all kinds of time. And I was telling him that, that's probably $1,500 tool. And at this point in my career, I'm trying to wind things down. I can't see buying something like that, and maybe use it for a year or two, and that's it. I'm sure you could probably sell it afterwards, but those are things I think about. It would make things a lot easier as far as plumbing goes, but I still do it the old way and still get it done.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Josh, oh wait, oh yeah, Josh says, I think a happy medium is best for me. Be smart, but smell the roses on the way. Have great experiences with your kids. I think everyone has a good idea or thought on it. It's just finding that balance, but also like Lynn touched on too, like the maybe marketing and infomercials. Sometimes you're always feeling like you are missing out, right? And I think that's why a lot of people are living for the moment, or to that point where people are trying to tell you like, why are you, trying to build wealth, or why are you trying to grind and do all these things now, and you're not even enjoying it, right? They're like, why not just enjoy now? You're making a little extra money. Why not take a trip or do this? And that's why it's sometimes hard to stay on this path, just because everyone else is in that kind of, or they get caught up in those, like you're saying, those infomercials or marketing pitches where you're going to miss out if you don't take this trip, or you're going to miss out if you don't attend this concert or whatnot. Cynthia says, regarding Jen's comment, I always think, but what if you spend it all now and don't have it when you need it? Maybe enjoying what you have and living more unmaterialistically. Yeah. She's very smart, Frank. How do you catch her?
I don't know, but I'm doing all I can to hang on.
Yeah, but Jen also says, good answer, Lynn, but I do wish I had a Chanel bag. Flavio says, I just don't want to be at 70 years old not having money to buy Pampers. And there is the legend Dion Talk Financial Freedom tuning in. So he's tuning in every time you hit the yep. So Dion, I don't know, Frank. So maybe your channel is paired, or is she tuning in from Lynn's?
I paired mine.
Okay.
I tried to. Yeah.
Okay, so Dion, thanks for stopping by. But if you can also maybe jump in from Frank or Lynn's channel and then show some support, or hit the like on that side too, because they are also streaming live at this moment also. But what do you think about maybe to what I was kind of touching on about people telling you, why are you building wealth? When you can't really, or you're not really enjoying it right now, or doing things to enjoy it. What would you say about that, Lynn?
I feel like I am enjoying it. I feel like, yes, I like to save money. Yes, I like to be intentional with my money. I have sinking funds and I save money for retirement and I invest in real estate. But I also have intentional fun. Like I also plan for that. It's not just like, oh, I'm not gonna eat out every week. I'm gonna cook every single meal. I'm gonna, save, use discounts whenever I can. It's not just that. It's also, what do I appreciate? What do I want? If it's that, let's say, if that Chanel bag, it is gonna bring me joy, then I'm gonna plan for that monthly, daily, or however I do. But for me, it's traveling. For me, it's I want to get out there. It like drives me. It gives me more motivation, gives me more passion, it gives me more energy. So for me, it's something that I need to do alongside the real estate, alongside the investing, alongside the saving and self-care. I need to be able to check in with my body when I'm feeling overwhelmed, burned out. Like I check in with myself all the time. And that may come from being in the mental health awareness and being what burnout, like I know what burnouts is like. I know what depression feels like. So I know that I need to be aware of those things. So I am constantly um, I am constantly feeling like I am being fulfilled or trying to be fulfilled.
I think I know where Frank might go with this a little bit, and maybe that's what BuzzTune is talking about also. So, like Frank, he's always helping people, sharing his stories. But so Frank, for people that may not know, he is one of the OGs also in the One Rental at a Time and the school community. And so his accountability group that's on Wednesday nights was actually started before any of the other ones happened, before school started. But he just had his 50th, I guess, meeting on school. I saw that posted on X. Also, Zuber is very happy about that. But so from BuzzTune, so Frank, what are your biggest takeaways so far? Any key discussions has stuck with you? So maybe you can touch on why you're doing it. I guess I'm assuming you enjoy it. So that's kind of like how Lynn was talking about, getting that dopamine hit of helping people and whatnot. But is there any discussions from those meetings so far that has really stuck with you?
It's funny that you bring that up. Cynthia and I were just talking because you were on the last Wednesday call, Mark, and there was some venting. I vented a little bit in the beginning about some issues I was just curious about. And then Chester came on and he was venting about his property. And the discussion that night was really great. And I was super disappointed when I realized I didn't hit record. So none of that was captured, but it was the best meeting we've had. I think, I'm not sure if I've shared this with you guys yet, but sometimes I feel a little bit tired because we've been doing the meeting. I think it's going on 2 years now. So before it went on school, we were already well past a year doing our Wednesday calls. And sometimes when I realize it's Wednesday and that I have that responsibility, I'm a little bit tired. But once the meeting starts, it's just like all that goes away. And it's been really, really great when people have reached out or you realize you actually did say something that helped another person in the group. That's why I do it. And we had, like when we lost our stuff in the first attempt, and even though we came into it a lot more educated about the process and running the business, we still made tons of mistakes and we're learning lots of things. So a lot of the channels that we watch, people, that's what they're saying. I want to help somebody else avoid some of the pitfalls that we hit during our first and second attempts. And just what we've learned about money. Again, the financial literacy is saving us a lot of money right now. Credit wasn't really a thing, back when I was younger. But now you see how valuable good credit could be. One thing that puzzles me is that, you strive to get, say, all these, say, available credit cards, business credit, and all these things, but then you're afraid to use it because you don't want it to get out of control. So that's always been kind of a double-edged sword for me. But yeah, back to the accountability thing. I just think it's great to be able to help someone. And like you've sent us some of your inspection reports on your properties, and being in the business, being able to ask questions that maybe you or whoever doesn't think about. I think that I always let people know they can reach out to me anytime. I'm never too busy.
Yeah, sometimes we have serious conversations. We're not just messing with each other.
Yeah.
I never seen that.
What is that?
I never seen you have a serious conversation.
What do you mean? I'm always serious.
It's a really strange, Lindsay, though, when like we talk one-on-one with Mark. I think one of the nicest conversations we've had is when we were on the phone, him and Cynthia and myself, and I didn't think I was talking to the financial firefighter. I don't know who I was talking to, but it was very, very nice.
My image, man. I just want to remind everyone again. So here is the PayPal link for the ORAT shirt that Frank is selling. I'll quickly show his AI image of what it looks like from the front. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have the actual shirt, so I just downloaded that one real quick. But that is the PayPal link if you want to help Frank sell those shirts so he can donate money to the Blind Center. And Frank's YouTube channel, Lindsay's YouTube channel is in the chat, and also Lindsay's episode on Bigger Pockets Rookie. So that was a pretty cool episode. Josh Burdick does say it's nice to have a weekly group to vent to help others who need to vent. Yeah, it's a great place. See, here goes Flavio making trouble. He goes, I wonder why we always have to stop the call before 8 p.m. Pacific time. So that's in reference to every time I jump on at that time, somehow the meeting is canceled and no one is there. Those serious shows are in market. Yeah. See, Jen is here because she's like Lindsay's biggest fan, so she's always asking me when I'm going to get Lindsay back on. But back to kind of maybe looking poor or saving money and whatnot. I think a lot of people are talking about a housing crash or prices coming down 20%. And I even seen it in the Bigger Pockets Rookie on Facebook. Some individual posted a chart about prices falling But it's kind of a little misleading chart. It was talking about list price and what it's selling at, but the median sales price is still higher. It's higher than what it was last year. So, but anyways, people are talking about a housing crash and whatnot. So do you folks think this whole maybe idea of saving and looking poor is gonna be putting people in better positions to take advantage of maybe a slowing real estate market?
I think looking poor has a negative connotation. It's more um, being financially aware. I would put it like that. In order to motivate somebody, I don't think negative feedback works. So being financially aware means taking ownership of your finances, and taking ownership, it puts you in a place of empowerment, and you as a driver, you as a decision maker. So yeah, I believe people want to be empowered over their finances and take ownership of their decisions. I believe that that would help the economy in all kinds of terms. But um, like again, our channels or our message of like being investors or being out there, it's not like the majority of the message that you hear outside. So it's you do really have to have some kind of attune already to being um, wanting to move forward in your financial security, or maybe wanting to connect with one of us prior to finding us, right? Finding our message, finding like what we're talking about and how actually we're trying to create wealth.
Frank, so Frank, you can kind of touch on that, and then Lindsay, you can think about maybe Dion's question that he's posting also. How will your portfolios look in 2030? But Frank, maybe you can touch on that idea of being prepared for the next purchase or taking advantage of a slowing real estate market by maybe looking poor or acting poor for the past few years.
Yeah, I think we talk about, or people talk about, money can't make you happy, and I think that's true. But I also think that personally, I feel better if we have the reserves, set aside for properties, and um, you know, you're able to sleep better at night, because if anything does happen, you're better able to take care of that problem. Um, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't create happiness, but it helps you sleep well. The You guys were talking a little bit earlier about um, enjoying the journey, and doing um, not necessarily just working to build up your portfolio or whatever it might be, but you know if you guys have watched any of my videos, I have a lot of crazy stuff going on in my head, and one of the things that we laugh about sometimes is, Mark, you're a football fan. I am too, but a few years back, I started feeling guilty about sitting down for 4 hours watching a football game, because I got to thinking, that's 4 hours I'm never going to get back. And I could have probably spent it doing something more meaningful. I did enjoy the game until we lost, so that made it even worse. Um, you know, Cynthia and I laugh sometimes about, like, we like to watch movies together. And this weekend we were watching this movie, and it was really good until the very end. And it was such a, I don't know what to call it, but I just thought, well, that's 2 hours I'm never going to get back. So you're more mindful of how you spend your time. Um, Getting back to your original question, I think for us, I think we probably purchased a little bit too fast again, and now we're playing catch up. But I think once we get everything stabilized, and rent's coming in on time and every month or whatever it might be, then we'll feel a lot better. We're still struggling a bit because of that, um, but I can see I can see other people in the group that are having success, so I'm sure we'll get there. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And
You also just kind of touched on your channel now, and I just want to say I like your video that you did, your kind of AI image or cartoon video, and but hopefully Cynthia will come on in person one of these days. You can actually get her on. I'm sure she's gonna chime in soon about that. But that was a very cool video, so go check out Frank's channel. But so now Dion does pose a question. He says, "How will your portfolios look in 2030?" So Lynn, what would you think? I know you're working out. I think I saw you did have you just posted the out of state investing episode on your channel from the school community, and I think someone was touching on you have two burrs you're working on and your ADU, right? So you have some big things you're working on. So in 2030, how do you see your portfolio looking?
I think that probably in Gary, hopefully, continue buying, hit that 20 properties. I'm a 10, so double in 5 years, hopefully. And I'm looking more into, since I'm doing my ADU here in LA, I possibly would want to do a live and flip. So my boyfriend, who doesn't have real estate, pushing him to buy a house and buy something that we can live in and fix and repair, and so we can flip it, maybe live there for 2 years and take that as he's like nest egg, so he can, if he decides to do more real estate later in the future, he could, or if he wants to start a company, he could. He's an engineer, so he has talks of starting a new company too. So for him, that could be either. But I think in 2030, definitely living in a different house and continue to build that real estate portfolio.
Nice. See, Cynthia did chime in. She says, not going to happen. Nice try. So she's not getting any closer to appearing on anyone's channel yet in person. But she does kind of answer Dion's comment. So you can maybe add to that, Frank. But Cynthia says, stabilized, still buying at a slower pace and more intentional, if that makes sense. Being a smarter investor.
there you go. She always tells me what I'm thinking. So you got it all. I would agree. I think my thoughts are the same. One thing, I guess, because we're older, one thing that we've been considering is how we're going to be able to buy, because we would like to buy a couple more properties. But if she's retired and maybe my work is slowing down, we're hoping that we can still buy and figure out a way to do that. And I think we probably, for our next couple of purchases, I would hope that they were small multifamily, maybe 2s, 3s, or 4s. I think, like she said, become better, even better at it, maybe buying in better areas, because we have had some challenges. And I think a lot of it is because of the areas that we bought in. I would say they're C, maybe, a little bit towards a C minus. But the portfolio is still very new. Probably half of it we purchased in the last year to year and a half. So it hasn't really gotten a chance to pick up steam. And then, building up our reserves and things like that. But hopefully, Cody and I, our friend Cody, we joke a lot about it would be nice for all the rents to come in on time, at least for 1 quarter of the year, and see what that feels like. We haven't had that experience yet. So yeah, I think, like she said, everything's stabilized and optimized. There's a difference there with a couple more properties under our belt, and hopefully by then we will have been in Washington for a while, because we're planning on selling our house here and taking our equity there to lower our monthly expenses.
When is
Right.
that going to happen? When are you moving? Planning on moving?
Well, it would be at least, it would probably be at least one more year. Cynthia was going to retire in May this year, but they offered her like a half or part-time position, so she wanted to keep having some income coming in. With all this money we put out on the properties last year, that's going to help us. And then we connected with a couple of agents. Dion gave us a couple of referrals up there in Washington, so they set us up on drips. So we're seeing some of the stuff that's available up there, and I think Mark might know, but one of my relatives, my aunt, is willing to go with us, and we'll basically split the cost of the property. So we think we can eliminate our mortgage payment pretty much. That's our biggest bill right now. We don't really have any bad credit or bad, I should say, any other loans or anything other than our house. So if we get rid of that, I think, things like Social Security and the portfolio and if we do have side hustles, then we can live pretty comfortably like that.
I think Flavio will be your roommate. He's excited. Looks like he said he's waiting for you. But before I get to some of Flavio's questions, I know Dion's always been giving you some shit, Frank. But do you see your portfolio in 2030 being more in one location for your out-of-state properties, or do you think you'll still be spread out? So maybe also remind everyone how many markets you're in, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, we're in 4. We're in Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, and Missouri. Dion gives me a little bit of grief about that, and it's working so far. But we started following turnkey deals. We worked with Allie Boone, who's been on our show, our Wednesday call, a couple of times, but she's a turnkey promoter. And I thought, being in California, it was easier to invest in the Midwest, and she had already vetted some turnkey providers. So that's how we ended up in a few different states out there. And then we landed in Missouri. And we're in a couple of other groups. We talk about mentorships and stuff all the time. One of the other groups that we're in is Addicted to ROI. And the founder there, Jennifer Beatles, she started in Washington State investing. And when it started to get too expensive, she started a group in the Midwest called Agents Invest. And it was a group of agents that go out and look for deals for investors. And that's grown really well. They do, each week they post deals that the agents find. So we're able to, dig into those and make offers if they look good. But that's how we ended up in different markets.
So do you see yourself, though, you think you're going to consolidate it by 2030, or you think you're going to be spread out? Is that kind of what's your vision on that?
I don't think we'll be in any new states. So I think Dion will be happy to hear that. I was talking to Jennifer again, and she knows the properties that we have, and she knows the struggles we've been through. And she was talking about Springfield, Missouri being like a nicer market, maybe a B- compared to a C-. So we might dig into that a little bit and at least stay in that state, maybe not in the same city.
Let's see. Before we get to Flavio's questions, Dion said about 10 years after moving to Washington, you will stop calling it up here and start calling California down there. But so let's say, so Flavio says, Frank and Lynn, what do you think about the community is a good tool to grow your portfolio? What do you think about the community is a good tool to grow your portfolio? I think maybe he's asking, is being in the community helpful to grow your portfolio? Maybe that's what he's asking. Lynn?
I think, not sure if it's grow your portfolio, but I was doing real estate by myself for 2 years. and I felt pretty isolating, even though I know I'm building towards my future. But being in a community exposed to so many different people, so many different ways of doing real estate and mindsets, and so because everything is it's a problem, and you have to be solution focused to be in real estate. Everybody has different types of solutions for the same problem, and then you pick what you want, right? You make your own decisions whatsoever. But being here in a community is just, it's like a safety net, and in a way, like you feel supported, you feel cuddle in a way that I didn't have before. And if I have any kind of doubts or questions or concerns, or I just want to vent, like Frank says, then I look at the community as that, like that, the sense of you found your tribe kind of sense, and you just feel better by yourself. And all of this are going to come with like challenges. So people around here are going through the same challenges. So
Well, I know Frank has found his tribe, so I kind of know where he's going to go with this. But so, what would you say about the community, and do you think it has helped you in growing your portfolio?
Yeah, I think just like Lindsay said, I think the support from everybody, and um, especially on our call, because you know we like to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think, like I've said before, we don't ever wish any bad or ugly for anyone, but when they do share it, it helps you to know that you're not the only one going through a certain struggle or things like that. Like I mentioned with Chester, um, Chester brought up some things because he had his inspection before the tenant's lease is set to renew, and I was kidding with him because his list of repairs was so small. I told him I would be super excited if I only got 2 or 3 things on a list that we needed to fix up and renew the lease. So I think that's one thing that's special about the group. So you can go there and you can feel safe to ask, maybe you think it's a dumb question, but there never are any dumb questions. And all the suggestions that not just he got that night, but I've shared all of our stuff openly, and everybody's been supportive and giving me suggestions instead of saying, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that because this or that, or that was a stupid move. You shouldn't have bought that." But they're always trying to find ways to help, and even some of our friends, when I was talking about what we're going through, they're like, "Well, have you considered selling one property and use the cash to stabilize everything else and things like that?" So it's been really, really helpful. As far as growing our portfolio, I think it does help there too, because you learn different ways to buy, things that you might not have thought of before. I don't know, HELOCs, refinancing on some properties, different things like that. That's all stuff that's pretty new to us since we started in 2021.
Yeah. So Flavio did also agree. He says, I really enjoyed your video with Cynthia, Frank. So he says, when is the next one going to be? Are you going to do another one like that? It seems to a lot of good feedback on that one. So that might be something to consider, right? Doing another one like that. How long did it take you to make that one?
We just sat down and did it. We're planning on doing the second one today. And I think that was helpful. I think maybe Jen was the one that mentioned it was nice to have Cynthia's perspective, because I was all in, right? Because I didn't have retirement savings. So I needed to get something going. So I was all in. And like I think she mentioned in that video that in the beginning, well, by now, Mark, if we push Cynthia to do anything, she's going to fight and not do it just because. So
well, that's why I thought it was an AI your AI wife,
Yeah. Well, that's you talk about her coming on and doing an interview and stuff. Just getting her on, even in AI, was a major milestone, I guess. You see things over this past year and a half. She started a meeting for me one day. So, and she's always there listening and commenting. I'm sure you always hear her in the background, but we'll get her there one of these days, no matter how many times she says no.
Well, the one that she started, I definitely couldn't get into. I was in the back trying to log in, and no one would let me in on that one.
Oh,
But
yeah, that day.
but at least I used the right link. Flavio was waiting in another Zoom meeting for like half an hour because he used the wrong link. And then he's like calling me, and I'm like, dude. But anyway, but it's funny, friend. You are here, but it's almost like your mind is in the chat because Cynthia says investing in other areas depends on the deals we see. Frank doesn't know this.
How about you, Mark? Do you think being in the school community has helped you grow your portfolio?
Not necessarily grow my portfolio, but it has. So for me, I haven't done anything really in the past, maybe 4 years, and it's really more just me just kind of letting everything settle and really just getting in a better position. Like as far as reserves and just kind of cleaning things up and just being better prepared. So it's good to sit back and kind of just see what everyone else is doing and what they're going through, and just it keeps your mind sharp, like you're just kind of running things through your head or how you would handle a situation. But it for me, it was more kind of really allowed me to just kind of sit back, I guess, and not feel like I had to make any moves, because I'm kind of maybe in a sense living through you folks and seeing what you guys are doing and kind of just, oh wow, that's cool, and kind of following your guys' stories. So it kind of just allowed me to really just sit back and not make any stupid moves again, in a sense, and just kind of follow your folks' journeys. And even this kind of maybe starting this YouTube channel has kind of allowed me to take my focus on acquiring things, trying to build this. So my time is spent doing this, and it's kind of just allowed the portfolio to kind of settle and grow and put myself in position. So that's actually so. Some people might know. I mentioned it on Zuber the other day, but I am under contract with a property in Pittsburgh. So it was listed at 290. I'm under contract for 240. It's has a duplex and a single family home on one lot. The duplex has under market rents, so I think that's why a lot of people were kind of staying away from it. So just finished inspection, appraisal. I didn't get the appraisal back yet, but just waiting on that. But I think just the kind of 4 years of not doing anything and just really letting things settle, and kind of letting, like Frank's talking about, letting the rent consistently come in for a while has really helped. And so, like I said, part of building the channel has helped me just kind of take a seat back, but also just being able to see all of your folks' journey, right, and kind of living through that. So that's been helpful too, and just keeping your mind sharp too, right? You're seeing all these different things people are doing, and Zuber talks about following your buy box, and Dion the rent box and whatnot. But just also hearing what everyone else is working on. It's always just kind of, how would I handle this situation, or what would I do in this situation? Or so it's been super helpful just being around people that are doing the work, right? Let's see. See, Dion said, I don't think Cynthia is real. We need video proof.
Yeah, I think, I'm sure I've teased him before, but he planted the seed for us to come up to Washington, and I always have to warn him to be careful what he hopes for, because
He just wanted a handyman. That's why he said, "Hey."
Yeah, he's smart like that. But yeah, I know you guys all know how special Dion is, but I think it would be amazing to be, closer, and not just Dion, but there's so many other great friends up there that we've met. We have more friends in Washington than we have here where we live. So I think, one of the things, not to sound I guess, morbid or anything, but if anything ever did happen to me and Cynthia was in Washington, she has a group of people that she could rely on to, to help her make decisions if anything needed to be done with the portfolio or anything like that. So I think Dion doesn't know that, but that'll be one of his responsibilities.
So, I know we've been going for about an hour, and maybe before we wrap things up, I do kind of have maybe a couple final questions about this kind of topic of looking poor, getting ready for 2025. And maybe to Zuber's point, right? So a lot of people have been commenting on his videos about he's become a clickbait and always posting about the housing crash and whatnot to get people to tune in. So, do you think that maybe for us to help people more, like we need to sell the image of success more? Like, how we're kind of talking about, budgeting, living below your means, you don't need the new phone, the new car, the fancy clothes. But it seems like to Lynn's point, like marketing attracts, people to tune in or to watch, right? So would it be more helpful for us, like our YouTube channels, to help people if we try to sell success more, in a sense, like that flashiness? What's your thoughts on that, Lynn?
I think it depends on what your goal is. Like, what actually do you want to do with your YouTube channel? You want to blow up to 10 million subscribers? Then you probably would have to use some kind of flashy thumbnail, flashy title, get into other people's YouTube channels, be controversial. But if your goal is to truly help, truly just give back, truly pass the information that's actually correct or accurate in your life and your journey, then doesn't matter that you get to 10 million subscribers. Like if you only get to like 10,000 subscribers, but you get that reassurance of like, thank you for putting up your content. Like you really helped me go through this journey. I think that for me, that's more valuable than the other thing, but I might be wrong.
What about you, Frank? Like, do you think selling the success would reach more people and that would allow you to help more individuals? Or you're just going to kind of double down maybe on what, you're putting out there?
Yeah, I think I would have to double down on what we're doing now. I think, again, the way I think, I'm sure is different, probably just weird. But when I see things like that, like, the guy sitting on a Ferrari talking about his real estate wealth, that's a real turnoff for me. And I just, just keep on going. I think, but it is hard to reach people without the clickbait. I know, Zuber has gotten some comments recently about the clickbait thing, but it seems to be getting more attention. I don't know how much of the attention is people who are sincere about wanting to learn and, doing the work and stuff like that. But we've also had the conversation about like our channels are fairly small still, and how do you reach more people? Because it seems like everybody that watches our stuff is people that's already in the group. So we've had the challenge of trying to branch out and attract other people and let them hear our messages. But yeah, when you the other thing that kind of turns me in the other direction is when people say, they have this little known secret or the trick to, whenever that's in the title, I'm just gone. So.
Yeah, I think that's what attracts, like you're saying, a lot of people are supportive, right? A lot of people that do watch our stuff is people in the community. So I think that's the one great thing is the community is growing. I think it's more of just word of mouth, right? People are just, hey, you should check out so-and-so, this person's in our group and they can help you. And I think like even for like a lot of people are starting to look at Pittsburgh to invest in. So a lot of people are kind of telling people, hey, so they're doing that. They have this little group, even though Flavio thinks you need like a bulletproof vest to invest in Pittsburgh. But, a lot of people are looking in that direction. Josh does say it's sad. It takes clickbait titles, but fear sells. And yeah, so maybe before we wrap things up, though, maybe on this final one, So why do you think so many people will probably miss this housing crash opportunity, if you want to put it?
Why do I think they're missing out?
Will miss it, because like the real estate market is slowing down quite a bit. Some areas, prices are coming down, but why do you think people will probably miss? So people that haven't been investing or haven't been doing the work, right? So even though if maybe it becomes easier to purchase things because the market slows down, why do you think a lot of people may miss it?
I think there's, even though super stars, there is uncertainty that's going down. The lower uncertainty to me it feels very present. Like we don't know what's going to happen this year. Like we saw massive layoffs from the government earlier in the year. Like my family even was impacted, and we like interest rates continue to trend up. There doesn't seem like they're coming down. I like I live in California. Prices, in Orange County, like the entry level for a house is $1 million. That's present there. In other parts of the country, I'm not 100% sure. In my market, I see things slowing down, but there's a lot of up in the air. Like we don't know what's going to happen. Like it doesn't seem like we can be stable. Like just earlier, there was news about assassination of a senator from Minnesota. So like it keeps going on. Like you can't ignore everything that's going on around you. It's just that's what I keep seeing. That's why people are in fear and scared and just holding on to whatever they want.
Frank, before you comment on that, maybe Dion says, I'm sitting here making clickbait title and thumbnails for a live. Boring investing works, boring thumbnails don't. And then Josh Burdick says, people miss because it's easy to give yourself permission to do nothing. So yeah, Frank, do you think a lot of people are going to be sitting on the sidelines and missing a lot of opportunities?
Yeah, it seems like even more people than normal will be sitting on the sidelines because of the uncertainty of what the world's going through right now. But I think we're lucky. This hasn't been easy at all, right? For any of us. But now that we're in it, and like Super says, if we find a good deal that works today, if we had money to buy something now, we would be looking. But we started in 2021, and the pandemic was probably just about halfway through. I don't know why I didn't even really think about that. It didn't scare me. Obviously, we were just buying from then on. So I'm grateful for again for the group and all the knowledge we've gained, and not to be afraid of interest rates wherever they are. If you can analyze your deal and it works, then there could be a plus side if rates do drop again, and you can refinance and get even better cash flow and things like that later on. We're not counting on that, but we're definitely hopeful if that does happen, and we want to be ready to capitalize on that situation.
So Dion just sent me a photo and text messaged me his new thumbnail he's working on. So he has an interesting live. It looks like he's coming out, but it does look very clickbaity and fear promoting. So I think everyone stay on the lookout for that. I think he's which AI programmer? It seems like you're using AI quite a bit now, Dion, for your thumbnails. So if you're still here, maybe comment on what AI program or app that you're using to create your thumbnails. But yeah, so like one last thing too, baby, before we wrap things up, does this look like Frank? Everyone, comment. Is this a good resemblance of Frank and what he looks like? I thought it looked more like John Litz in Deconstructing Dreams. But if you're still here, comment if you still think if that's a good AI image of Frank. But is there anything you guys want to wrap things up, what you're working on? Maybe when's your next video coming? I know, Frank, you were talking about you and Cynthia doing one. Hey, she's coming in from a different channel, Flabulous Mama. Did you start another YouTube channel? I forget, but that's Parents YouTube channel. So they're tuning in. Don't worry, we're wrapping things up. But But anything you want to say, or what you're working on, Linz? When's your next video coming out?
Hopefully today, actually. We'll see if I have time today, but coming up a couple videos this week for sure. And then I also wanted to mention too, like, I know that Frank's a contractor, so he knows like a house being in construction, like you need to be fixing problems all the time. You probably can't fix every problem a house has. And Mark, you being a firefighter, you are very comfortable in a crisis situation. In real estate, I feel like you have to be comfortable with a certain amount of distress at all times. Either rent is not gonna come this month or an inspection goes bad. And instead of looking like, oh, this is all going wrong, we have to switch our mindset into solution based. And we kind of like have to put out fires all the time. And that's hard for some people, especially anxious people that are going through any kind of like challenges that arise. We trying to like focus on that challenge, and when you focus on it, it expands. So for us, like I guess the mindset is always have to be like, how do I fix this? How do I move forward? How do I just push through? And that's the thought and then I think like budgeting or saving, it's just like it's the same.
Frank, before you wrap things up for us, maybe so Fabulous Mama is Carrie McCune. I guess she's killing it on TikTok, so go check her out also. I think that's her platform she's more focused on right now. So she's posting a lot of stuff on TikTok. They were at the ORAD event in Vegas in February, so they're a great couple also to get to know, kind of like Frank and Cynthia. But Josh says that picture of Frank says need more smile, but it looks like him. And Dion says AI won't replace YouTube creators, but YouTube creators who use AI will. And yeah, Carrie says not as handsome as he is in real life. Talking about the AI, Frank. Watch out, Carrie. Cynthia might take offense to that. She might. But Flavio says thanks for the live. But yeah, Frank, you want to wrap it up? You have anything else you want to say, or?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you were talking about, spending money and things earlier. I think Dion mentioned he got the subscription for ChatGPT or something. It's like $20 a month. And that's something that I want to learn more about too, but I haven't, bought the subscription. I used the free version as long as it was free. But that's probably something I'll do in the near future. It is really amazing what it can do. And what Lindsay was saying too about, putting out fires, I think that keeps a lot of people out, because when they, I always joke about if people watch my channel and they're seeing all the stuff we're going through, I hope they see that we're working through it and that we're continuing to move forward versus, this guy's an idiot. Why is he still investing if he went through all this stuff? So, people can take it both ways, and I'm sure it keeps a lot of people out. And the group has definitely helped us a lot. And, recently, Mark, you and I, not to mention any names, but I feel very protective of the group. And sometimes I have to be careful because my first reaction sometimes is not the best. And even in I think, some of Dion's lives, I've canceled some people before I gave them a chance to, say they might have put in a comment that I thought was not appropriate, or they were just screwing around. So I'll shut them down. And sometimes I have to think, maybe I didn't hear their message correctly and I should have given them another chance. I think Hyder's really good about that. Hyder will engage and he'll ask them some questions to feel them out and see if they're really jerks or not. But I'm a little quick on the trigger. So hopefully I haven't sent people away that could have been a valuable part of the community.
Well, you guys haven't learned, right? Do not tell me if someone or someone is making trouble or what, because I'm gonna just keep poking you to to stir things up. So if someone is bothering, don't tell me, because I'm just gonna try to instigate it a little bit more. But Cynthia says thanks to everyone who contributed. Thanks, Mark. Budson said thanks to everyone. Val says thanks. Before we wrap things up, then Carrie says, as an educator, I use AI a lot to both enhance content and also to hold my students accountable for not doing the work themselves. AI is a great tool, but is limited. Just my 2 cents. And Cynthia said, and y'all thought he was mild mannered. Okay. Flavio says, don't block him. And I'll wrap things up with so I'm not sure if everyone knows Zuber will be in Hawaii next week. He'll be speaking at the Millionaire Mindset Conference out in Ko'olina. So me and Mikey plan to attend that. I'm not sure if we're going to attend um, all day events, but we'll probably attend the day Zuber is speaking. Zuber wants to put out some live content also. So maybe you'll see us doing some lives together while he's in Hawaii. So he can also write that off on his taxes to prove that he was out there doing work. But yeah, so everyone, thanks for tuning in. Dion, thanks for tuning in. Can't wait for your live. And we'll see everyone in school hopefully tomorrow for Zuber's live with Dan Bird. And thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.